Chapter 12. After my first visit to Boston, I spent almost every winter in the north. Once I went on a visit to a New England village with its frozen lakes and vast snow fields. It was then that I had opportunities such as had never been mine to enter into the treasures of the snow. I recall my surprise on discovering that a mysterious hand had stripped the trees and bushes, leaving only here and there a wrinkled leaf. The birds had flown, and their empty nets in the bird trees were full with snow. Winter was on hill and fell. The air seemed benumbed by his easy touch, and the very spirits of the trees had withdrawn to their roots, and there, curled up in the dirt, lay fast asleep. All life seemed to have ebbed away, and even when the sun shone, the day was shrunk and cold as if her veins were suppled and all, and she rose up decrepitly for a last dim look at earth and sea. The withered grass and the bushes were transformed into a forest of icicles. Then came a day when the chill earth portended a snowstorm. We rushed out of doors to feel the first few tiny flakes descending. Hour by hour, the flakes dropped silently, softly from their airy height to the earth, and the country became more and more level. A snowy night closed upon the world, and in the morning one could scarcely recognize a feature of the landscape. All the roads were hidden, not a single landmark was visible, only a waste of snow with trees rising out of it. In the evening, a wind from the northeast sprang out, and the place rushed Hitler and Titer in furious melee. Around the great fire we sat and told merry tales, and forgetting and quite forgot that we were in the midst of a desolate solitude, shut in from all communication with the outside world. But during the night, the fury of the wind increased to such a degree that it thrilled us with a vague roar. The rafter creaked and strained, and the branches of the trees surrounding the house rattled and beat against the windows as the winds rioted up and down the country. On the third day after the beginning of the storm, the snow ceased. The sun broke through the clouds and shone upon a vast, undulating white plain. High mounds, pyramids, heaped in fantastic shapes, and impenetrable drifts lay scattered in every direction. Narrow paths were shoveled through the drifts. I put on my cloak and hood and went out. The air soon my sheets like fire, half walking in the path, half working our way through the lesser drift. We succeeded in reaching a pine grove just outside a broad pasture. The trees stood motionless, and wildlife figured in a marble frieze. There was no odor of pine needles. The rays of the sun fell upon the trees, so that the twigs sparkled like diamonds and dropped in showers when we touched them. So dazzling was the light, it penetrated even the darkness that veils my eyes. As the days wore on, the trees gradually shrunk, but before they were wholly gone, another storm came, so that I scarcely felt the earth under my feet once all winter. At intervals, the trees lost their ice covering, and the bulrushes and underbrush were bare. But the lay frozen and hard beneath the sun. Or probably amusement during that winter was tobogganing, implies the shore of the light rises abruptly from the water's edge. Down these steep slopes we used to cross. We walked on our toboggan. A boy would give us a shove, and off we went, plowing through drifts, leaping hollows, sweeping down upon the lake. We would shoot across its gleaming surface to the opposite bank. What joy! What exhilarating madness! For one wild, glad moment we snapped the chain that binds us to earth, and joined hands with the winds, we felt ourselves divine. Chapter 13. It was in the spring of 1819 that I learned to speak. The impulse to utter audible sounds had always been strong within me. I used to make noise, keeping one hand on my throat while the other hand felt the movements of my lips. I was pleased with anything that made a noise, and liked to feel the cat purr and the dog bark. I also liked to keep my hand on a singer's throat or on a piano when it was being played. Before I lost my sight and hearing, I was fast learning to talk, but after my illness, it was found that I had ceased to speak because I could not hear. I used to sit in my mother's lap all day long and keep my hands on her face because it amused me to feel the motions of her lips, and I moved my lips too, although I had forgotten what a talking was. My friends say that I laughed and cried naturally, and for a while I made many sounds and word elements, not because they were a means of communication, but because the need of exercise my vocal organs was imperative. There was, however, one word the meaning of which I still remember well. I pronounced it wah wah. Even this became less and less intelligible until the time when Miss Sullivan began to teach me. I stopped using it only after I had learned to spell the word on my fingers. I had known for a long time that the people about me used a method of communication different from mine, and even before I knew that a deaf child could be taught to speak. I was conscious of dissatisfaction with the means of communication I already possessed. One who is entirely dependent upon the manual alphabet has always a sense of restraint, of narrowness. This feeling began to agitate me with a vesting, forward reaching sense of a lack that should be filled. My thoughts would often rise and beat up like birds against the wine, and I persist in using my lips and voice. Friends try to discourage this tendency, fearing lest it will lead to disappointment, but I persist, and an accident soon occurred which resulted in the breaking down of the great barrier. I heard the story of right-eyed Cada. In 1890, Mr. Lawson, who had been one of Laura Brickman's teachers and who had just returned from a visit to Norway and Sweden, came to see me and told me and Rabbit Kata, a deaf and blind girl in Norway who had actually been taught to speak. Mr. Ransom had scarcely finished telling me about this girl's success before I was on fire with eagerness. I resolved that I too would learn to speak. I was no rest satisfied until my teacher took me for advice and assistance to Miss Sarah Fuller, principal of the Orange Man's School. This lovely, sweet-natured lady offered to teach me herself, and we began the 26th of March, 1819. Miss Fuller's method was this: she passed my hand lightly over her face, and let me feel the position of her tongue and lips when she made a sound. I was eager to imitate every motion, and in an hour had learned each element of speed. MPASTI. Miss Fuller gave me 11 lessons in all. I shall never forget the surprise and delight I felt when I uttered my first connect sentence. It is war. True, they were broken and stammered syllables, but they were human speech. My soul, conscious of new strength, came out of bondage and was reaching through those broken symbols of speech to all its knowledge and all faith. No deaf child who has earnestly tried to speak the words which he has never heard, to come out of the prison of silence, where no tune of love, no sound of bird, no strain of music ever pierced the stillness, can forget the thrill of surprise, the joy of discovery which came over him when he uttered his first word. Only such a one can appreciate the earnest which I told to my toys, to stones, trees, birds, and dumb animals, or the delight I felt when at my call Mildred ran to me, or my dogs obeyed my commands. It is an unspeakable boon to me to be able to speak in winged words that need to interpretation. As I told, happy thoughts fluttered up out of my words that might perhaps had struggled in vain to escape my fingers. But I must not be supposed that I could really told in this short time. I had learned only the elements of speech. Miss Fowler and Miss Sullivan could understand me, but most people would not have understood one word in 100. Nor is it true that after I had learned these elements, I did the rest of the work myself, but for Miss Sullivan's genius, entering perseverance and devotion, I could not have progressed as far as I have toward natural speech. In the first place, I labored night and day before I could be understood even even by my most intimate friends. In the second place, I needed Miss Sullivan's assistance constantly in my efforts to articulate each sound clearly and to combine all sounds in 1,000 ways. Even now she calls me attention every day to mispronounced words. All teachers of the deaf know what this means, and only they can at the all appreciate the peculiar difficulties with which I had to contend. In reading my teacher's lips, I was wholly dependent on my fingers. I had to use the sense of the touch in catching the vibration of the through, the movements of the mouth and the expression of the face, and often this sense was at fault. In such a case, I was forced to repeat the words or sentence, sometimes for hours, until I felt the proper ring in my own voice. My work was practice, practice, practice. Discouragement and worries cut me down frequently, but the next moment the thought that I should soon be at home and should me love once what I had accomplished, spurring me on, and I eagerly looked forward to their pursuit in my achievement. My little sister will stand me now was I thought strong that all obstacles I used to repeat ecstatically, I am not dumb now. It could not be disappointment while I anticipate the delight of talking to my mother and reading her response from her lips. It astonished me to find how much easier it is to talk than to spell with the fingers, and I discard the manual alphabet as a medium of communication of my part. But Miles Sullivan and a few friends still use it in speaking to me, for it is more convenient and more rapid than lip reading. Just here, perhaps I had better explain our use of the manual alphabet, which seems the puzzle people who do not ask. One who reads or talks to me spells with his hand, using the single hand manual alphabet generally employed by the deaf. I place my hand on the hand of the speaker slightly as not to impede its movements. The position of the hand is as easy to feel as it is to see. I do not feel each letter any more than you see each letter separately when you read. Constant practice makes the fingers very flexible, and some of my friends spell rapidly, about as fast as experts write on a typewriter. The mere spelling is, of course, no more unconscious as that is in writing. When I had made speed my own, I could not wait to go on. At last, the happiest of happy moments arrived. I had made my homeward journey, talking constantly to Miss Sullivan, not for the sake of talking, but determined to improve to the last minute. Almost before I knew it, the train stopped at the Tuscumbia station, and there on the platform stood the whole family. My eyes fill with tears now as I think how my mother pressed me closer to her, expressed and trembling with delight, taking in every syllable that I spoke, while little Mildred seized my free hand and kissed it and danced, and my father expressed his pride and affection in a big silence. It was as Isaiah's prophecy had been fulfilled in me. The mountains and the hills shall break for before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands.